guys are not thinking outside the box. Couples like that don't like necessarily have sex in their bed. They do it everywhere. Like they have
wherever
and like the house that they do it.
We put the kids to bed in our bed and then we do it on the floor. Okay, that's where we receive our children.
We have like an extra bedroom where we do it in. So it's like, you know, like
not a
we
separate
just do it in
bedroom
different places.
Yeah, just get creative.
I know.
Get creative.
Yeah, just get creative, you know.
Hey sister, you are listening to the Daily Momtra Podcast and I'm your host, Jesse Truelove. In this episode, I bring on Jamilia Beasley from Terra to Mama on Instagram to talk about all the things sex while bed sharing, listening to your mama gut, and myth busting some common trends regarding baby sleep on social media. She preaches mama encouragement and her content will leave you feeling like you just got a big mama bear hug. Let's dive into the episode. Okay, Jamilia, I am so excited to have you on the podcast. Can you go ahead and just start off with telling us a little bit about you, your experience, how you got into the work that you do now? You kind of seem like a jack of all trades, from yoga training to responsive sleep support for parents. So I feel like you do it all. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about everything that you do?
Hi, my name is Jamilia Beasley, and I'm a sleep specialist, postpartum doula, yoga teacher,
all the good stuff.
All the and I got started primarily doing like the postpartum and baby sleep when I became a mom to my son. I was originally a birth doula and, you know, I was doing that side. And then I was like, once I became a mom, I was like, whoa, you know, there's not really much of like a community support for postpartum mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really made me want to become a postpartum doula and then also a, you know, sleep specialist to really, you know, let parents know like, hey, you're doing a good job. Like, it's a lack of support that as postpartum parents we have in our culture. I don't have support, or people just want to see the baby, but they don't want to see me. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
So that really drove me to be, you know, to create Tata de Mama. Tata de Mama was originally my birth doula page. And once I became mom, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change it to Tata de Mama.
So I have a couple of questions already.
Yeah,
can you tell me a little bit about that name? What does the new name of your Instagram, what does that mean? Is there like a meaning behind it?
Ground the mama, or Terra means like earth or ground, and you know.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Now that you say that, like your page helps you, like helps me. Like I've been following you for a while and I've been consuming your content for a while, and it is grounding. It makes you feel more rooted in yourself as a mom. Like it just makes you feel good, you know? And I feel like moms just need that support, you know? Like you said, there's just like such a lack of support. Like there's always this unsolicited advice. And I feel like we never hear like, you're doing such a good job. Your kids are amazing. And that is because of all of the hard work and love and yourself that you're pouring into them. I think your page does that. It really instills like everything that you feel like you want to do as a mom is the right choice for you as a mom. And it just oozes that. And I love that about your page. Yeah. I also have a question about what exactly a postpartum doula does. Are you still doing that?
I am still doing that, but I mostly do like online consultations, like email consultations. Postpartum doula is just like, it's kind of like a birth doula, but instead of attending the birth and pregnancy and labor, you know, we're here to support parents during the postpartum period. So like we help them with like cleaning, taking care of the baby, breastfeeding support, listeners. So we listen to them, you know. Some postpartum doulas, they have extra training, so they are able to listen to, you know, a mama's birth story and just like hold space for that mama. Help parents like transition over to the postpartum period and just have that support.
It is such a transition. It's like the biggest transition. It's like the biggest
humans go through.
And then I would love to know a little bit about what sets your approach to sleep apart from other sleep methods? Because I feel like when you hear sleep training or sleep methods, like everybody's mind immediately goes to cry it out. And I know that there are other ways to do it because we do it other ways. I mean, I don't teach anybody how to do it. I don't even teach my own kids how to sleep. They're just like, they fall asleep. They just land where they fall. They're like, where do your kids sleep if they sleep with you? If they bed share? I'm like, over there, like on the bench, like wherever if they're tired, they will find a place to land. And I'm
Yeah.
just like not too worried about it, but I know like that's not how it goes for everybody else. But if you have an exhausted mom that wants better sleep, but doesn't want to do the cry it out or even hear the baby cry at all, like that's me. I don't want to hear them cry. It makes me want to throw up if I hear them cry. I feel like that's by design, but who am I? Yeah. So
like being like a mother is like our instincts. Like if our baby's crying, we're just like, what's going on? Like, how can I help?
Yeah.
So yeah, completely normal to feel that way.
If that mom wants to use a sleep method because she's exhausted, but doesn't want to do cry it out, what are her options?
Well, I have a pretty much like a root cause approach. There's certain things that can disturb a little one's sleep, like mouth breathing, tongue ties, reflex, food intolerance. Sometimes nervous system can be affected by sleep. Sometimes environment can be affected by sleep. So I just like to find the root cause of what is causing sleep. And if there's no cause, then we can definitely do like a gentle approach. Like if they want to like, let's just say like they're tired of bed sharing, they want to move on to either doing a crib or a floor bed, we can work on doing that after we, of course, address the root cause of disturbing the little one's sleep. So that's like my approach. There's no crying it out, but there are times where, especially like toddlers when their emotions, like they have like, really, really big, strong emotions. I just tend to tell parents that, it's normal for, toddlers to cry. Crying is a way of expressing their emotions and feelings. So we can go ahead and support those emotions instead of leaving them to cry it out. We want to support the emotion and be there for them and support them to sleep, love them to sleep. It's nothing wrong with loving your child to sleep.
Right.
So that is my approach.
Yeah, I felt like I felt so much pressure from other people, like in friend circle, family circle, like not that they don't love my babies, right? But they were like, you need to just let her cry in her crib. Like, when is she going to get out of your bed? She needs to be able to self-soothe and it's good for her to cry. And I would find myself like sitting outside of her room, like putting her in the crib, sitting outside the room with the monitor. And I'm like, tears are streaming down my face. She's freaking out, like screaming because she's in a room by herself. This was like at 8 months old. And I was like, I don't know who this is serving. Like, I don't think she's learning anything valuable. And it's not serving me. Like, nobody that's giving me this advice is feeling the way I feel because I'm the mom. Like nobody's gonna feel this like anxiety and feeling like I need to throw up from hearing her cries because nobody is connected to her the way that I'm connected to her. And I feel like moms do feel that, but they're told like, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that.
It makes like moms like intuition, like they want their intuition to just be like settled down. Like they don't want intuitions to be like front and center. They want their intuitions to just be like shut down.
It's like they just don't trust mom's like gut. Like it's just like not enough to like be reasoned with. Like, we don't trust you enough to make this call. We know better than you for your baby. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel too. That's exactly how I feel. Yeah. And I'm just like, a mom's intuition is just so powerful.
I feel like it's by design. We have this innate ability to just know if something feels like it's going against our gut. And I feel like with everything in the world, it's like, don't listen to that. Like, listen to me, listen to this outside source looking in versus like being the one in the situation, being the one connected to your baby. You were the only one connected to that child in that way. How do you feel about the sleep training world trying to convince moms that they need to teach their baby how to sleep? Do we need to teach babies how to sleep?
irks me when I see like posts like that, especially like on Instagram when like, when I see, oh yeah, mama is like, you need to teach your baby needs to learn how to sleep. Sleep is a skill. They need to learn how to sleep.
Yes.
And it's not a skill. Like, or, we're in our mom's belly and we're sleeping. Like, we don't know, we don't need to learn how to sleep. Sleep is like biological function. It's something that we all do naturally. It's just like when babies are not able to sleep or toddlers are not able to sleep, there's something that's blocking them from sleeping that we need to try to figure out. Hey, it could be reflex. It could be they might have a mouth breathing problem or a food intolerance, something that just needs to be addressed to see what is going on. And it's really biologically normal for babies and infants and children in general and adults to wake up throughout the night and settle back down to sleep. Night waking is biologically normal and there's nothing wrong with that.
My parents are both first generation born in the United States. So bed sharing, back before social media, I was telling you how terrible it was. I was raised, I'm the oldest of 6 kids. I was raised bed sharing. And I don't even remember when my parents like we made the transition. Like, I don't remember what age that was. I don't remember it being like this grand deal,
I just like, you guys are not thinking outside the box. Like, it's just like, there's couples like that don't like necessarily have sex in their bed. They do it, everywhere. Like they have
wherever
and like the house that they do it. Like it's totally
for everybody that's been asking me where we do it. We put the kids to bed in our bed and then we do it on the floor. Okay. That's where we conceive our children. Our children are conceived on the floor while our kids sleep in our bed.
See,
there it is. I put it out there. It's out there. Everybody knows now. I actually feel better. I feel better now that everybody knows.
You put it out there. We have like an extra bedroom where we do it in. So it's like, like
not a separate bedroom for the children. Places. Yeah, just get creative.
I know. Get creative. Yeah, we just get creative, like
as new babies came, like we all just kind of found our place. Like we lived in a very small house on a ranch. There was 8 of us in the house and we all just it was never a problem of like everybody staying in their room or going to bed at a certain time. Like we didn't have sleep schedules. We bed shared.
I just like, you guys are not thinking outside the box. Like it's just like there's couples like that don't like necessarily have sex in their bed. They do it, everywhere. Like they have
wherever
and like the house that they do it. Like it's totally
for everybody that's been asking me where we do it. We put the kids to bed in our bed and then we do it on the floor. Okay. That's where we conceive our children. Our children are conceived on the floor while our kids sleep in our bed.
See,
there it is. I put it out there. It's out there. Everybody knows now. I actually feel better. I feel better now that everybody knows.
You put it out there. We have like an extra bedroom where we do it in. So it's like, like
not a separate bedroom for the children. Places. Yeah, just get creative.
I know. Get creative. Yeah, we just get creative, like.
And I feel like bed sharing and later bedtimes or like more flexible bedtimes seem very common around the world. Can you speak to the American way of doing things when it comes to sleep methods and how that differs from the normal or common ways of doing things around the world?
Especially here in the Western world, see like a typical bedtime is like 7 p.m. for children or 8 p.m. And most kids, they tend to sleep away from their parents or in a different room or in a crib and not in the bed. But yeah, in a lot of other countries and cultures, that's not the norm. Like most of the times kids are still sleeping in the parent's bed or in the same room as a parent or another adult. Like if they do have like a new baby coming, the grandmother will sleep with like the toddler or like, the older kid. But yeah, it's like completely different what we see here in America.
Yeah, and I've also heard, from people around the world in my DMs that it's very like expected because it's not possible in other countries. Like a lot of people don't have 5 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms or even a separate bedroom. Like to have all of these separate spaces for their kids and then they're told that they're asking for something bad to happen by sharing their sleep space with their baby, when I feel like that is the opposite of what any mom sleeping with a baby is like trying to do. Chiming in to share my #1 postpartum pick for breastfeeding or bottle feeding mamas. The Snuggle Me Organic Feeding Support Pillow, or as I like to call it, my moon pillow, is a total game changer. I feel like I could say that all bobbies need to be burned. This pillow is crafted with narrow ends that tuck behind your back or side and have a thick center that brings baby right to your breast. This will totally save your back. The outer shell is made of 100% organic cotton, which is a non-toxic and breathable material. They even have washable covers in a ton of colors. This is the only pillow you'll need to bring to the hospital, I promise. We also have the loungers in both of the sizes, and my girls completely live in theirs. I have an exclusive daily Momtra Podcast discount for listeners. Use code Jesse10 to save 10% off anything on their site. Now let's get back to the show. If anything, it's like the opposite. Like both of my kids have had cerebral seizures, and my second baby had one, and she was laying right next to me in the bed. I knew exactly what was happening, and I woke up in a split second, I couldn't even, like, you couldn't pay me enough to put her in another room. I wouldn't have even known. We had to go to the emergency room. It just puts all of these unrealistic and like immense amount of pressure on moms, like feeling like they're doing like the wrong thing. And also for parents that just don't have the ability to have all of these separate spaces for each kid, or so many cribs or like whatever, like for my parents, for example, there's 6 kids. There's no way, like we didn't have 6 bedrooms and 6 cribs and all this, so many unrealistic expectations and then shame on top of that, which is
it's crazy how they make it seem like a mother sharing a bed with their baby is like, the same as a knife in your bed.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that commercial about like if you're sharing a bed with your baby, it's like the same as like having a knife in your bed.
That is wild.
I was like, no, they did not compare a knife and a mom who has literally, carried this baby to life.
It's just crazy because like if and I understand too, like the moms that like I'm just somebody like I know it's a season and I'm just not going to sleep through the night, I know
Right.
this is a season. I'm not going to sleep next to my husband. And like that's the choice. I'm not like trying to be a martyr. And I'm not
Right.
trying to do any of these things that like moms are accused of doing by making these choices. And not that it's just my choice. Like everybody also always assumes like your poor husband. Like, when are
I
you
know.
gonna spend time with your husband? I'm
Like even like with my husband and I, share like a different bed, and like he has his own room. I have my own room with my son. Like we
yeah,
sleep, my son and I, we share the same bed,
yeah.
and it's nice, and it's like we still have that time to connect and do intimacy and whatnot. It's just like we just don't go to bed together. Like
Yeah,
that's
like how sad for those people that like only do it in their bed.
like wow, like you must have a sad sex life.
Yeah, like I'm not like hexing my husband for like all of these years while I bed share with my babies. And it's like his choice too. Like he couldn't imagine it any other way. We've had these scares
Same.
and they always happen at night with the kids, like where we need to like rush to the emergency room.
Right.
And you just couldn't pay us enough to put them in another room so that they learn the skill or like
No,
whatever.
you can $1,000,000. I will still
No.
not.
We all have different capacities. Where I was trying to get at was that, like, I know this is a season and that there's
Mm.
going to be a day where the kids aren't in our bed sleeping anymore. And, there will come that day. But if a mom needs to implement a separate sleep space and a different sleep method so that she can sleep and have better mental health, and, that's what she needs to show up as the best version of her baby's moms, then like I'm all for it. What I'm not for is like the moms that are doing what feels best for them, having their babies in the bed, like they're getting told that they want something bad to happen to their baby, which is not true. And it's so
Oh, yeah.
hurtful and destructive to a mama heart, especially like when you're trying to share, even on social media. It's a double-edged sword, I always say. Like you can connect and with so many people that are aligned with you or not and have these meaningful conversations. And then the other end of it is like, if you're putting it out there, you are opening yourself up to all
Mhm.
kinds of scrutiny that is just not the point, it shouldn't be the point, but people find a
It
lot of pleasure
shouldn't
in
be.
attacking moms on social media. A lot of time it's moms too, which is crazy. Like we all know motherhood is hard. Like can we
And
not
that is
just yeah.
also something to understand is other moms attacking other moms, whether if you're bed sharing or you do something different, you had a C-section, you're, not breastfeeding, but you're formula feeding. Like it's just other moms attacking moms. So, which I don't get that. Cool. I support you doing that. I support you doing this. As long as we're not putting our children in danger, like in like
Right.
horrible danger, abusive situations. Like why can't we just
For
all get
sure.
along and support each, you know?
There are a million
Yeah.
ways to be a good mom, and we all have different capacities and feel like we're all just trying to do the best we can in the season that we're in with the tools and resources that we have. Not everybody has the same access. And so if
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have 4 bedrooms or 3 or 2 and you have 1 space, like there are people that can help you figure out how to do that safely. And
Mhm,
that's the main reason why I wanted to bring you on. I get so many comments and questions about how to safely bed share and like what that looks like and
mhm,
what that looks like with a toddler. And
mhm,
honestly, for us, it looks different all the time. It changes as they change, like we change. We have a toddler who's 4 and we have a 19-month-old who also shares the bed with us, and I go to bed with the baby, I put her down, and dad stays up with our toddler, and they stay up and,
mhm.
hang out, and then when she falls asleep, he brings her up, and then we all go to sleep in the same bed, and me and dad are kinda like bookends, and I sleep on one end, the baby, and then I breastfeed her, every time she wakes up in the middle of the night, which is, a lot, and then toddler, and then my husband. And we just kind of like bookend and we just keep everybody in.
That is so cool.
It's so cozy. We need like 2 king beds. We have a California king, and I swear I sleep on this much bed
Oh,
on the
wow.
edge, and the kids just like take up all the room, and me and dad are just like on the ends. And like one day we'll get our bed back, but it's like it was both of our choices. We love it so much, and it's gonna be sad the day that they don't want to, be in our bed anymore. But I guess what are some tips for bed sharing safely? Like, what are the mandatory things to make sure that happens if you are choosing to bed share and you want to do that safely?
So, yeah, they say 7 sleep for bed sharing is, like, n no smoking, sober mom, baby at the breast. Again, I've known moms who wean. You just have to follow your own intuition. If you want to bed share and you're not breastfeeding, you just have to and just follow your own intuition. If it feels right, it feels right. If not, then don't do it. Healthy baby on the back. Keep them lightly dressed. Not too soft beds, so you want to make sure the bed is firm and not soft. You want to make sure that there's no cords or gaps along the bed. You want to keep the covers off from the heads. You
Like
want,
waist down, maybe?
yeah, waist down, or I know some moms don't even have covers for their little ones. They just, they have like a lightly dressed onesie that keeps them warm. But yeah, you want to make sure it's waist down and not over their head.
And then what about swaddles and those sleep sacks? Are those like not recommended if you're bed sharing? Just for moms out
Yeah,
there. I
those
never
are
use
not.
those, but
Yeah, the swaddles are not recommended for bed sharing. They're usually recommended for crib sleep. I don't recommend swaddles.
okay.
There's some moms who do use sleep sacks. And I don't recommend the sleep sacks either.
One thing that I know you and I align on is responsive parenting and mothering, listening to your gut and empowering other moms to do the same. When it comes to co-sleeping, bed sharing, contact napping, feeding to sleep, baby wearing, all these things that parents around the world have been doing for thousands of years, what advice do you have for moms that are pushed by friends and family, strangers, experts on social media, not to spoil their baby, or the comments that are so like flippant of like, when are they going to get out of your bed? Um, they need to self-soothe or fall asleep independently. So,
Mhm.
what advice do you have for those moms that are getting those kinds of comments and feedback and seeing that type of content on social media, feel more empowered to listen to their instincts about those if they choose to want to do those things?
Yeah, just tune out the noise. I mean, those experts and people on Instagram don't know you or your baby. You know your baby more than those experts. And if your baby feels content and happy sleeping nearby you, contact napping, not sleeping in a crib, just go ahead and do it. I know it can be hard. Motherhood is a hard season, especially when they're little like this. It's such a hard season, but this season does pass and it doesn't last long. So that is my advice is just tune out that noise, continue to do what you're doing and tune out the noise.
Yeah, it's hard to do sometimes, but also seeing the type of content that you share, I think helps instill that because, like everything, there's a balance, and you're gonna
Right.
see all this content kind of telling you that you need to do this or you need to have some sort of method in place or a rigid schedule. But I think also seeing content like yours and following accounts like yours helps
Mhm.
moms feel like, well, I know there are other moms that are doing what I'm doing and it's not causing these bad habits or whatever. I think that seeing more content and seeing more moms do the type of thing that you are sharing, I think just helps moms feel empowered to listen to their instincts a bit more.
Yeah, and that's like the main reason why I created Toddy Day Mama was just so moms can listen to their instincts and tune out the noise and just, do what they want to do instead of listening to other people.
Mhm.
Uh,
I don't know if you've seen the controversial content, in my opinion, on social media of this notion of sleep training being good for parent-child attachment. I know there was like, I don't know if it's a new study, but it's definitely new content that's being put out there,
mhm.
and specifically by, big sleep accounts. I'm not gonna like name them, but
Yeah,
in
I've seen those.
sharing that like idea that like by doing sleep training you are reinforcing a good attachment, and I feel like like that's fine, if like that's what you choose to do, but I feel
Yeah.
like in the same breath, like bed sharing is always unsafe, that's what we're told, and is asking for something bad to happen, but like leaving your baby in a room alone in the dark to cry themselves to sleep is not just like normal, but it's pushed on new moms, and now it's saying that it's like, this is how you build attachment with your baby. What are your
No.
thoughts?
Thoughts are on that is no, that's not how you build attachment with your baby. You don't leave your baby in another room to cry it out for long periods of time. Like, no, that's not how you build attachment. Babies don't know how to self soothe and they require a parent or a caregiver to co-regulate with them to calm down their nervous system. They can't do that by themselves. So when you're leaving a baby by itself to cry it out, well, they're getting that message. I just have to fend for myself. And a lot of times when I see mothers who are like, well, sleep training, it worked for me. Like my baby stopped crying. Well, well, pretty much what's going on is that the baby has stopped calling out. You're
Mhm.
not going to them, so they're not
Right.
going to continue to cry and call you out because there's no point.
Right.
So
They
they
know you're not coming.
yeah, and they know that you're not coming. So, and that's not the message that we want to give our children. We don't want to give that our children that, oh, you just have to fend for yourself. There's other ways. There's other ways that we can approach sleep without letting our babies cry it out.
Right. Okay. So I have like personal experience with that calling out and like the baby stopping to call out when I tried this. I mean, I didn't try like a sleep training method. I guess I tried cry it out for like a week because I felt really pressured as a first time mom to like try it and to do that because them sleeping in my
Mhm.
bed was like deemed this like shameful thing that like I'm creating all these bad habits, which I just have to say, like, I am a grown person that wants to sleep in a bed with somebody, my husband. So
Right,
like we
right,
we all
right.
want to like, have that safety of like sleeping with somebody. So I guess,
Mhm.
as a baby that was bed shared, I grew up to be a bed sharing adult too. So I don't know if that's a bad habit, but I'm doing
Yep, it's not a
it.
bad habit, like, we're designed to be close to human beings, like, we're designed for that.
I don't know if you've seen the movie The Croods, but we all, after
Mhm.
seeing that movie, we always say that we're a sleep piling family because we just all sleep
Oh,
in the same bed and we all just like sleep pile, like no matter where we are.
I love that.
So we're sleep pilers. In that one week that I was trying out sleep training or like, cry it out or whatever, I would find myself, watching her monitor and she would just be laying there. She wasn't even sleeping. Her eyes
Aw,
were just
mhm,
open and I could see her
mhm.
eyes like in the monitor, and it's like devastating. Like, she's just laying there. She's not sleeping. Like, and I guess if you're just listening, like, you would think that they fall asleep, but they just know that my crying isn't working and I'm tired of crying. And it's basically just like crying themselves to sleep of exhaustion of literally crying. And it just felt so wrong and felt like I was doing the wrong thing. And I was, for me, you know, because I felt sick about it. And I have experience with that exact thing that you just mentioned. Like, they just stop calling out for you, which if you're a mom that wants to have your baby in bed with you and sleep training feels wrong and increases your anxiety and doesn't do the opposite, then listen to that. Don't quiet your intuition based on outside perspectives.
Exactly. And I get like a lot of moms who have done sleep training and they have so much regret. And I just want to say, like, again, attachment is like a lifelong relationship. And if you notice that you've done sleep training in the past, it's not going to completely affect your relationship with your child.
Yeah, no, and I don't think like that's what we're like trying to say either. It's like,
I did not know what else to do.
right.
Like, there was no other way for me to like have my child asleep because I was hearing from different people to do this and do that. And I just did the, sleep training because, again, like, we're all doing our best we can. And, having that self-awareness, like, even for me, I didn't do like the cried out, but I did do like a form of sleep training of like not making eye contact with my son at night for like a week. Like, I'd get up with him and nurse him. And I just remember reading like the articles, they're like, don't make eye contact with your baby because if you do, they're going to like wake up. So, I'm just like feeding him and, not looking into his eyes. And yeah, you have regrets. Like, you're like, why did I do that?
We're all trying our best. And if it's not sleep training, it's something else. Like, we've all done things.
Yeah. Like,
we've all literally done things as parents. Well, at least I can speak for myself. Like, we have done things that we look back on and we're like, I wish I would have done that differently, but like all of these experiences and all of these like trial and errors, like for me, parenting has been the biggest mirror into the things that I need to work on and parent in myself, and breaking cycles and not doing things that were done to me when I was raised, and making a conscious effort to tune into what actually feels good, and also like things that are triggering for me, like, do not need to be handed down to my children, and I think that I know we're talking specifically about sleep methods and not carrying that guilt for like trying something, because moms, I think we do a lot of things too, like, it's working for one mom. And it's somebody that maybe we trust on social media, or a friend, or anybody, that we feel like we're invested, or that we trust their judgment, their advice, these things, and we try things and they don't work for us. Like, that's not to say that it was wrong for that mom to do. Like, if it worked for her and it worked for her baby and she felt good doing it, like, that's good for her, but it doesn't mean that it has to be good for you. Not all advice is good advice for you. And
I think like, that's like the thing with sleep training, is that they're making it seem like this advice is for every mom, for every family. And no, like, other people don't feel like sleep training is right for them. Like, and that is okay. Like, bed sharing works perfectly fine for some families,
I just draw the line at the shame and the judgment. Like, don't just stop telling moms that they're asking something bad to happen, and stop asking them when their baby's going to get out of bed, and stop asking them when they're having sex with their husband, because like you would never ask another grown woman, like, where are you sleeping with your husband? Like, where do you guys do it? Until you find out that they're bed sharing. And you're like, what? You're literally asking me where I sleep with my husband. Like, like, I don't understand, like, where you feel entitled to ask that type of question. Like, if we're not on that level, like, just because I have a baby sleeping in my bed doesn't mean you need to know where my husband receives sex, like, come on.
Exactly. That's what makes me like, it irritates me too. Like, I'm just like you would never ask a grown woman that, like, on the street, like, hey, so where are you guys having sex? Like, where?
I'm like, does your husband know that you're asking me where my husband is having sex? Because I feel like he wouldn't appreciate that.
No, he would not.
It's just like, that's what you're asking. Like, I don't like people like don't think twice before opening their mouth. Like, you're just so accessible on social media. They just want to like know every single
They want to know like
detail.
every single detail of your like life, including your sex life. Like,
yeah. And like, I'm down to talk about pelvic floors and stuff, but like,
right.
I just
right.
like, I guess, everything's kind of like fair game, but it's just like the unrealistic, like, tug and pull. Like, you're okay asking those questions because I'm a bed sharing mom. And that's like literally the only reason why you feel comfortable asking that. Which is wild.
I just like, you guys are not thinking outside the box. Like, it's just like there's couples like that don't like necessarily have sex in their bed. They do it, everywhere. Like, they have
wherever
and like the house that they do it. Like, it's so
for everybody that's been asking me where we do it, we put the kids to bed in our bed and then we do it on the floor. Okay, that's where we conceive our children. Our children are conceived on the floor while our kids sleep in our bed.
See,
there it is. I put it out there. It's out there. Everybody knows now. I actually feel better. I feel better now that everybody knows.
You put it out there. We have like an extra bedroom where we do it in. So it's like, like,
not a separate bedroom in different places. Yeah, just get creative.
I know. Get creative. Yeah, we just get creative, like a partnership, you gotta.
If you were looking for a sign to spice up your sex life, this is your sign.
This is your sign.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What is your go-to mantra that gets you through hard times? So it's like a mantra, but mom style. Momtra.
I love it. This season will pass. Motherhood is hard, and it's okay to admit that it is hard, but it will pass. That's my mantra.
That. Yeah.
And I love that. I've been using it because it's just like, yes, it is hard. Like, motherhood is hard, but it does pass. Like,
yeah,
man, it goes by fast,
It goes by fast. And also, like, I don't know if it bugs you as much as it bugs me, but when people are like, oh, just wait until they are a toddler. Oh, just wait until they're teenagers. It bugs me. And I'm like, literally, I will do anything to freeze time right now. Like, I would do anything to freeze time. And
anything.
And also, like, I don't know. It's just like, it gets hard and easier in different ways.
If I could freeze time, oh my God, I would totally do it right now. It's hard, like, seeing them grow up and just, get into their own personalities. It's a beautiful thing to witness, but it's just so hard because it's like you spend so much time nurturing them and loving them, and they're just like, grow up.
My husband he's like, what are you thinking about? I'm like, the girls are going to move out one day. Like, they're literally going to leave. And he's like, why are you thinking about that? I'm like, I literally think about this all day long.
Every day.
Like, oh my gosh, why am I thinking about this?
How do you men not think about this? Like,
he's like, and my husband is so funny. He's like, that's the whole point. Like, we're raising humans. Like, they're not ours. They're not ours to keep. They're ours to like raise and put into the world. And I'm like, I just want to keep them. I just want them to live with me forever. We can build houses in the back. Like, they can have their families there. I just want to keep us together.
That's how I feel too with my son. I'm like, I just want to keep him close. Like, I don't want to release him out to this world. Like, oh man, like, it's just hard. And when I became a mom, it's just like, man, like, my emotions just like 100% just intensified. Completely.
Yes. And I felt that when I had my second daughter, because I felt so much worry and stress in my like final week of pregnancy, like leading up to my final weeks of pregnancy. I was like, oh my gosh, Radley is not going to feel as loved, or she's going to feel like, I don't know, like, she's just not going to feel as loved, and she's not going to feel as special, and like all these things. How am I going to love another baby? Like, I couldn't even buy baby clothes for my second baby until she was here, because I felt so much guilt of like, I don't know. It's like so strange. Like,
why do you always feel guilty about every damn thing?
Every damn thing we're feeling guilty about it. And it's like, for what? And it's like this, like, our babies are not worried about those things. Like, they are not worried. Even like when you really mess up and you go and you're like beating yourself up about it, and then you go back and try to, you're apologizing to your baby or, your toddler, and I'm so sorry I talked to you like that, or, I want to apologize and I love you so much. And okay, it's fine, mama. I'm like, I literally beat myself up all day over that. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, okay, girl, you're strong.
Like, you're okay? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, cool. I was literally digging myself out of a hole to come say sorry to you, but yeah. Yeah, so crazy. But yeah, when my second daughter was born, it was just like my love just like grew. There was no like splitting my love. It was just like it just grew.
I love hearing that because it's like a different perspective, because I always hear like people with, I only have like one child, and I always hear people who also have one kid. They're like, oh, I can't imagine like splitting my love to like another child, and it's just like, well,
you don't split
really
it.
Split? Like,
it doesn't.
So. Like, I just feel like it expands. Like, it just grows bigger.
It just expands. Yeah. My dad, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and he said, I was telling him like this worry that I was having, and obviously he can look on that experience and just know like that it's, it's all coming from a good place, but he has 6 kids, and he's like, Juge is what they call me, as Juju. And he's like, just think about our entire family, all 6 kids, standing in front of a camera, and we take a picture. You go to look at that picture in the camera, and it's just you, me, and mom. How sad would that be? You're losing. You're not, Radley's not losing anything. Like, she's gaining. You're giving her the gift of a sibling that she will have long after you and Shane are gone. Like, they have each other for the rest of their life, just like you have your siblings. And I'm like, just the tears. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that kind of makes me tear up a little too. So I'm like, wait, I'm like over here with one kid. I'm like,
yeah, you're giving them this gift of like this best friend or a partner, like to go through their life with, like to lean on each other when you and dad are gone. Also, something I think about all the time. I don't know why my mind
like
works
really
like that.
making me tear up, because he's right. Like, honestly, like, he's right. Like, even with my siblings, like, we're just like best friends. Like, all of us are best friends, and I could not imagine not having them in my life.
Yeah, for fear of like splitting your love. I know, mom guilt, 100%.
Mom guilt.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and then lastly, where can people find you, and what are your current service offerings?
Yeah, you can find me at todademama.com or at todademama on Instagram and Facebook. My current offerings is I offer email consultations. I also have ebooks as well. Yeah, those are my current offerings.
Is that for sleep, for sleep methods?
Yeah, I have sleep. I have sleep consultations, and then also postpartum consultations as well.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm chatting all the mama things, and there are a lot of really helpful advice and just, nurturing that mama gut and trust in yourself. Like, I just love that. I love that about your page. Keep spreading all of the good vibes that you're doing, because it does help moms. I know it does. I love when I come across one of your posts. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job. It's like that pat on the back that mamas want.
Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Daily Momtra Podcast. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Also, before you go, I would love you forever if you could rate and review this podcast, share it with a mom friend or on social media, and when you do, be sure to tag me, Move with Truelove, or Daily Momtra Pod on Instagram. And again, thank you so much, you guys, for listening.